Metal Gear Solid 1 was released in 1998 as a third entry to Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. According to Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid 1 was not a reboot or a remake, and more like a complete sequel to Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2, which makes sense because the game doesn't really retcon any of the plot beats from the previous games, and it carries a lot of the foundation of Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. In an interview, Hideo Kojima describes Metal Gear Solid 1 as the complete version, since he had a lot of ideas that he wanted to implement in Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2, but couldn't do it because of technical limitation. It is safe to say that Metal Gear Solid 1 is Hideo Kojima's vision being fully realized. Now, to be clear with you, I've never played any of the Metal Gear games until 2025. Actually, that's a lie. I've played Metal Gear Acid when I was 11 years old, which was a turn-based card game, but I couldn't finish the game because of one adult scene that gave me nightmares for a week. Anyways, I bought Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, and Metal Gear Solid 1 was my first Metal Gear game that I have completed, and I have a lot of things to say about this game. So let's start, shall we? In my opinion, this port is very lazy from Konami. The fact that MGS1 doesn't have 1080p option is very weird, and I feel like a 1080p option would have benefited the game a lot since the visuals are not very clear, especially when you try to find a door or a vent in a dark area. The game's presentation is very fitting within the context of the story that it tries to tell. The game uses real-life documentary cutscenes to visualize how granted the setting is, and honestly I like it a lot. These cutscenes are very captivating, and it sets the tone of how serious this game will be when it comes to its plot. Plus, it still makes MGS1 stand out amongst the plethora of games even in 2025. I also like the hand-drawn character models in the PTT since it makes it easy for me to relate and care about these characters that can show different type of emotions through facial expression. One of the many things that impressed me the most for a game that made in 1998, that it doesn't cut corners when it comes to visual realism. An example I could give is body armor being on the character model when you equip it, or when you equip a gas mask and you can see the character's field of view gets narrowed in first person mode. The little visual details are very important because they add a layer of immersion which helps elevate the experience of playing the game. And it makes me appreciate the effort that was put into this game, because for a game that was released in 1998, it was ahead of its time when it comes to the visuals. The music and the sound design in this game is good, and you could tell that Hideo Kojima put a lot of effort into sound design to immerse the player and give a lasting impact on the player. I would say the most memorable soundtrack is when you die in the game.
Snake, answer me! Snake!
The gameplay can be divided into two parts, stealth and boss fights. You as the player will be provided with two types of tool sets, which is your gadgets and your weapons to deal with the stealth section of the game and the boss fights. I would say 80% of your weapons are useful except the sniper rifle. That shit is so bad to use. I mean, every time you zoom in, you would think an earthquake is going on. I know that diazepam is meant to make it easier to use the sniper rifle, but the problem is using a sniper rifle is too situational to begin with, and you'll probably only use it once in your entire playthrough. The best weapon in the game is hands down the shock grenade, because in my opinion the hardest obstacle in the game is these turrets, especially when there's 10 of them in one area. Now when it comes to your gadgets, you will have boxes that you can hide under, bullet armor, thermal goggles, night vision goggles, key card, rations, gas mask, mine detector, a rope to hang yourself, anxiety pills, a cigarette, and barbecue sauce. Most of these tools are very useful, even the cigarette. If you were to ask me what was the worst gadget in the game, it would probably be the night vision goggles. And the reason is, there's barely any really dark areas in the game since the inside doors is very well lit, and I don't think there's a way to switch off the lights, and even if there is, I don't think it's worth the hassle since there are better ways to complete the missions. The enemy AI is decent for its time. One of the many things that stood out for me was how the enemy AI can use the environment against you in a clever way. For example, In the first area, if you leave your footprints in the snow, the enemy will follow the footprints until its suspicion gets cleared.
Huh? Whose footprints are these?
Or, if you walk on a metal surface, the enemy will detect the noise, which will make them investigate. When I first encountered these examples, I was pleasantly surprised, since there's some stealth games in 2025 that don't have this level of detail. Credit to Kojima for implementing so much detail for a game made in 1998. In MGS1 there are 10 main bosses encounters throughout the whole game, and I would dissect each one of them from a gameplay perspective, so let's get into it.
Special Operations Foxhound. Revolver Ocelot.
I can see Revolver Ocelot being a hit or miss for some people, but in my opinion it was a miss, but not a big one. This boss fight falls into the action side of the game, and the way I was able to beat this boss is by shooting at an angle where it would intercept his upcoming movements. My problem with this fight is that the aiming in this game sucks, and unfortunately the camera is way too zoomed in, which prevents you from seeing where Ocelot's exact location is, and that for me creates an artificial difficulty which I don't like. Also, this fight doesn't allow you to go through the middle of the arena because there are explosives that can be triggered which will make you fail the fight. I just wish the camera was a bit zoomed out and the fight not being heavily dependent on the minimap. Hello, it's me. While editing the video, I just realized I probably misremembered the fight. The fight actually didn't have a minimap. That's embarrassing. But to give my final thoughts on the fight, I think the fight is alright. And thinking about it, I think it was a good idea to remove the minimap from this fight. Otherwise, it would have made the fight easier. I just wish the camera was a bit zoomed out. But yeah, back to the video I guess.
This is Raven's territory. Snakes don't belong in Alaska. I will not let you pass. Send him a message.
The M1 tank fight is probably the most forgettable fight in the game. It just feels like the fight exists to pad more content into the game rather than making it a meaningful fight. It doesn't feel bad to play from a gameplay perspective, but it's not very exciting either. I think providing a proper cover system and forcing the player to draw the tank into the minefield would have been more strategic, realistic, and exciting.
Battle to the death.
What do you want?
I've waited a long time for this day. Now I want to enjoy the moment.
What's with these guys? It's like one of my Japanese animes.
I've come from another world to do battle with you.
What is it, revenge?
It is nothing so trivial as revenge. A fight to the death with you. Only in that can my soul find respite. I will kill you, or you will kill me. It makes no difference. Fine. He can watch from inside there.
I need that man. Keep your hands off him.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
This boss fight is probably my favorite boss fight in the game. The hand-to-hand combat feels fluid and responsive. The obstacles they throw at you are not too gimmicky, but they do provide a challenge that can be completed in various ways, such as using the thermal goggle or the cigarette whenever the cyborg ninja uses the camouflage tech. I don't see how this fight can be improved beyond its technical limitations, and honestly, I think this fight is great even with its technical limitations.
Snake, me?
What the?
Do you like me? Hold me, Snake.
What's wrong?
Oh, hurry, hurry. Make love to me. Oh, Snake, I want you.
Who's that?
You don't like girls?
Psycho Mantis is one of the most unique boss fights I've ever experienced. And the reason why is because he has two gimmicks that make him stand out. The first one is him being able to control your NPC companion and turn it against you. However, it can be mitigated by using non-lethal ways such as hand-to-hand combat. The reason why I like this gimmick is because it doesn't hide information from the player, and it encourages problem solving, which makes it feel very rewarding. Also, I like how the hand-to-hand combat solution is stored in the Cyborg Ninja fight before fighting Psycho Mantis. The second gimmick of this fight is the opposite of the first one, because the first gimmick gives you the agency and the control of the fight, whereas the second gimmick completely takes away any player agency or control from the player. The second gimmick of this fight gives Psycho Mantis input reading, which makes it impossible to shoot him. And yes, you heard this right. Input reading. I didn't like this gimmick at all, since the solution for it doesn't require any thinking from the player, because in my opinion the information is kept with the developer and not shared with the player, which creates another case of artificial difficulty in this game. I mean, how am I supposed to know that you have to unplug your controller? I really don't want this type of gimmick to inspire other games from doing the same thing, because it would be very cheap and annoying.
I am Sniper Wolf, and I always kill what I aim at. You're my special prey. Got it. I've left my mark on you. I won't forget it. Until I kill you. You're all I think about.
Take him away.
The first part of Sniper Wolf's boss fight was just horrible. It disrespects the player's time by making them track back a couple of areas to get the sniper rifle, and I really dislike this part of the game because it interrupts the pacing of an intense moment, and unfortunately it happens later in the game as well. The difficulty of this boss fight felt very artificial since the zoomed in camera keeps shaking as if an earthquake is part of the level design. And it doesn't help that Sniper Wolf never misses her shots. Some might argue that diazepam exists to counter the shakiness of the camera, but unfortunately it doesn't last long and the supply is very limited. Also, let's not forget the fact that Sniper Wolf will immediately shoot your head off the moment you start aiming. The only way I was able to defeat her was by finding a tight angle in one of the corners and shoot when she's on sight, but the fight did drag on longer than it should have been. Part 2 of Sniper Wolf's boss fight was actually decent and well thought out. The environment of this fight was way more interesting than part 1 of the fight, simply because it offers more freedom on where to hide, and also the wolves howling in the background provides a fresh atmosphere, which is a nice contrast to you being in a nuclear facility 90% of the time. One of the many things that I enjoyed about this fight is how the game allows you to have viable options in terms of weapons that you can use, which made the fight way more enjoyable than part 1. I just feel that they could have scrapped part 1 of this fight and it wouldn't have much of an effect on the game, since it didn't provide a strong introduction to Sniper Wolf's character from a narrative or gameplay perspective.
So, the snake's finally come out of his hole. Are you ready now, my brother?
Why are you calling me brother? Who the hell are you?
I'm you. I'm your shadow.
What?
Ask the father that you killed. I'll send you to hell to meet him.
The Hind D fight is one of my favorite fights in the game because it feels weirdly modern for its time. It reminds me of one of the Call of Duty set pieces, and that's a compliment by the way. The fight is very simple. You have 4-dimensional cover, and the weapon they provide
is the Stinger.
which has missiles that can track your enemies in any direction. The fight becomes a hide and shoot game where you wait for a safe opening to shoot the enemy. It does get boring after a while, but after experiencing Sniper Wolf's boss fight, I would say this boss fight is an upgrade.
You live in Alaska too. You know of the World Eskimo Indian Olympics?
Yeah, I know it. Must be a real threat in the muck-duck eating contest.
Yes, you are right. But there is another event that I excel at. It is called the ear pull. It is an event where two opponents pull each other's ears while enduring the harsh cold. It tests spiritual as well as physical strength.
You want to pull each other's ears?
The form is different, but the spirit is the same. Rejoice, Snake! Ours will be a glorious battle.
This isn't glorious, it's just plain killing. Violence isn't a sport.
Well, we'll see if there's iron in your words.
Vulcan Raven is one of my favorite boss fights in the game. The game allows you to tackle this fight in various ways by using the Stinger, C4 and the rocket launcher. I also like the layout of the arena. It's almost a maze-like for you, the player, and the boss, which can produce a game of hide and seek but in a entertaining way. However, I wish there was more to the fight. I don't know, maybe like a phase 2 or something, because the health bar for Vulcan Raven is very low in my opinion.
Snake, your blood will be the first to be spilled by this glorious new weapon. Consider it an honor, a gift from your brother.
Metal Gear Rex was an alright fight in my opinion. It is an easy fight once you figure out that you just need to hide underneath it for a while before it detects you. However, I just felt like I was playing the minimap instead of the actual fight because I just kept staring at it to avoid the yellow light, which trivialized the fight in my opinion.
If you win, you might still be able to save her. You could enjoy one brief moment of love before the end. If you cross this line, you'll fall. At this height, it will kill even you. Have at you, Snake!
I liked the fight a lot because it genuinely felt like a finale where all the advantages are taken away from the player but also from Liquid Snake as well, and it forces you to utilize your reflexes, which gives this weird Tekken vibe that I like. I also like how natural the difficulty feels like compared to other fights in the game, because the difficulty of the fight comes from the actual environment that you are fighting on. You see, the fight takes place on a very high platform which is surrounded by flames. Now the developers could have been lazy by building an invisible wall to prevent the player from falling, but instead they made the risk of falling off the platform part of the challenge, and they enhanced this by giving Liquid Snake a few moves that can knock you back, which incentivize the player to position themselves strategically. What more can I say? It's a great fight. MGS story had a profound impact on a lot of people, and it is considered to be one of the best stories to be written by the consensus. However, from my experience, the story had a lot of potential, but unfortunately it didn't quite hit the mark for me. The story begins with our main protagonist being forced out of retirement to rescue the DARPA chief who was kidnapped by the members of Foxhound, which our protagonist Solid Snake used to be part of. The ex-members of Foxhound gets labeled as terrorists because they are planning to launch a nuclear weapon. However, the American government is not sure if they are capable of launching a nuclear weapon, and that's basically the plot of MGS1, which is very interesting and it has a lot of potential to tell a great story, but it is held back by a few mishaps unfortunately. MGS1 also introduces a lot of characters, which I will go through them in the video, but I would only talk about the important ones, starting with the antagonist of the story. Let's start with Revolver Ocelot. He has a lot of potential, and it might have been fulfilled in MGS2 and 3. I don't know that yet. However, him as a character in MGS1 is a bit confusing because his motivations are not very centered. At the beginning of the game, you would think he is working for Liquid Snake and probably shares the same goals as Liquid Snake, but that changes in the middle of the game when you find out that he is working for the Russian government and he wants to help them to conquer the world, which was a surprise for me simply because he lacked the Russian accent.
But why? There's nothing there.
Wrong. It's a nuclear test site.
A nuclear test site?
If we nuke a major population...
Onto the important stuff. Revolver Ocelot has a twist at the end of the game, which is that throughout the whole game, he was not working for Liquid Snake or the Russian government. Instead, he was working for Solid Snake.
It takes a well-balanced individual such as yourself to rule the world. No, sir. No one knows that you were the third one, Solidus.
In my opinion, this plot twist is probably the weakest in the story simply because it lacks a lot of foreshadowing and setup. I mean, for me, it was my first time hearing about Solid Snake throughout the whole story. Now, this plot twist can be a great revelation retrospectively once you finish MGS2 and 3. However, if I am judging on its own merit, then in my opinion it doesn't have any real big impact on the story. One thing that I can't deny about his character is how iconic his moments are in the game. Whether be it how he plays around with his gun, or how he breaks the fourth wall in the torture chamber, which left me having a positive impression on his character despite how underdeveloped he was in the game.
When you've had enough, press the select button to submit. When your life reaches 0, the game is over. There are no continues, my friend. Don't even think about using auto fire, or I'll know.
Psycho Mantis is a character who can read people's mind and can control people with weak minds, whatever that means. The game provides Psycho Mantis with a good backstory about him being a child who can read people's mind. Eventually this affected him negatively because he realized how much his father hated him, and that caused him to have a fear of being killed. Shortly after, it led him to become a psycho, killing a lot of people and burning the village. Psycho Mantis has a solid foundation to his character, but what lets him down as a character is his dialogue. A lot of his dialogue sounds very cliche and pretentious. I mean, listen to this.
And each mind that I peered into was stuffed with the same single object of obsession. That selfish and atavistic desire to pass on one's seed. It was enough to make me sick. Every living thing on this planet exists to mindlessly pass on their DNA. We're designed that way. And that's why there is war. But you are different. You're the same as us. We have no past, no future. We live in the moment.
How is Solid Snake worse than him? And his whole generalization about humans just wanting to pass their seeds just comes off as cringe. I mean, in my opinion, sex feels good and there's no reason to demonize it. And one more thing. During his speech about humans just wanting to pass their seeds, he comments on how Solid Snake is the exception.
Technology to be so cute.
You're just flattering me.
No, I'm serious. Well, I know I won't be bored for the next 18 hours.
Come on. I can't believe I'm being hit on by the famous Solid Snake.
Well, if you make it back in one piece, maybe I'll let you do a strip search on me.
I'll hold you to that, Doctor.
I never forget a lady.
So there's something you like about me, huh?
Yeah, you've got a great butt.
Oh, I see. First it's my eyes, now it's my butt. What's next?
On the battlefield, you never think about what's next.
A lady sniper, huh?
The irony. Anyways, I hope Psycho Mantis rests in I'm just joking. Even though his character is a bit corny for me, I can't deny how iconic he is, but it's mainly due to his gameplay aspect of his character, rather than his writing, I guess. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like Sniper Wolf as a character. In my opinion, her character seems to be all over the place. She claims that she doesn't hunt for sport when she gets asked about Meryl.
Wolf, you spared Meryl's life.
She was never my real target. kill for sport.
However, a couple of minutes ago, she said this.
Sniper wolf. And I always kill what I aim at. Oh, you're my special prey. Got it. I've left my mark on you. I won't forget it. Until I kill you. You're all I think about.
For some reason, she expects you to save her, even though she tried to take your head off multiple times.
I am Longshot. You cannot save me. Please. Just finish me quick.
I also don't like this trope of antagonists doing evil shit, and then the moment they are about to lose or die, they pull a sad backstory out of their ass. I understand this trope is popular in video game, anime and books, but at least some of them show us the actual backstory of these characters instead of monologuing them in the last minute of a character's time. Side note, Sniper Wolf being a Kurd makes sense when it comes to her backstory because of the historical context of Kurdistan, which is brilliant. However, her character design or accent isn't remotely Kurdish. I genuinely thought she was Russian because of, you know, snow, wolf, female sniper. It just feels like the decision to make her Kurdish instead of Russian was a last minute change. This character doesn't stop yapping. It's very hard to listen to his dialogue because he tries his best to be relatable to Solid Snake, but it comes off as pathetic. He's meant to be Solid Snake's enemy, but he comes off as a fan instead.
On you, blood from the east flows within your veins. Your ancestors too were raised on the barren plains of Mongolia. Inuit and Japanese are cousins to each other. We share many ancestors, you and I.
I don't have any crows in my family tree.
You jest, but indeed ravens and snakes are not the best of friends. Nevertheless, you will make a worthy adversary.
Kojima doesn't do anything interesting with his backstory to add to the world building, which is unfortunate, because all we get to know about Volker-Raven is that he likes ravens, and he also participated in an ear-pulling contest, and for whatever reason he decides to reveal the plot twist of Decoy Octopus, and he gives Solid Snake the car key, which doesn't make sense at first, but it does at the end of the game, which I will get into. Overall, I do think his character is very forgettable, which is unfortunate because he has one of the best fights from a gameplay perspective. And I do hope to see him again in a flashback sequence so we can have more characterization when it comes to his character. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on Volker-Raven. Liquid Snake is probably my favorite character in MGS1. I could feel his bitterness from his voice acting and dialogue. In my opinion, Liquid Snake has a lot of layers to his character, and it is shown in the end of the game where he explains his perspective on many things. Liquid Snake's bitterness stems from how soldiers often get used in the most vile way possible. He describes how soldiers get used as a scapegoat by painting them as their villains, which can be said about real life soldiers as well.
The world needed men like us. We were valued then. We were desired. But things, are different now. With all the liars and hypocrites running the world, war isn't what it used to be. We're losing our place in a world that no longer needs us. A world that now spurns our very existence. You should know that as well as I do.
Often soldiers are not seen as individuals, instead as a representative of a flag. The moment a war is won or lost, soldiers seem to get the end of the stick, which is unfortunate, and I think Liquid Snake as a character does a great job at conveying the hard feelings a soldier might have, whether it be against the government or the people. One of the reasons why I like Liquid Snake as a character is because he has a lot of world building in the game, especially when it comes to how the world operates from a soldier's point of view.
1991, the Gulf War. The military secretly injected soldiers with the soldier genes. The Gulf War syndrome that hundreds of thousands of returning soldiers complained about was a side effect of it.
Ha!
Everyone knows that the Gulf War syndrome was caused by exposure to depleted uranium used in the anti-tank rounds.
That was just a cover story issued by the Pentagon.
The further I peeled a layer of his character, I've noticed that Liquid Snake sees himself as an animal rather than a human being. Because for him, being a clone of Big Boss means that he lacks individuality, which is a human trait.
You and I were originally octuplets.
Octuplets?
Yes. The other 6 of our brothers were sacrificed to make us. We were accomplices in murder before the day we were even born. So it was you and I, 2 fertilized eggs with exactly the same DNA. But they weren't finished yet. They used me as a guinea pig.
This is why we see Liquid Snake always tries to be the best clone, in order to get a sense of individuality. I genuinely feel like if you gave Liquid Snake the option of being born in a normal family, where he can actually become an individual and not a clone, I think he would take that opportunity in a heartbeat. Now that we are done with the villains of the story, let's talk about the good guys, shall we? It's very hard to take Otacon seriously sometimes. On one hand, he is a genius engineer, and on the other hand, he is the most stereotypical anime fan, even down to his relationship with women.
Call me Otacon.
Otacon?
It stands for Otaku Convention. An otaku's a guy like me who likes Japanimation.
Him liking and sympathizing with Sniper Wolf because he saw her being kind to animals is very stupid, when you consider the fact that Sniper Wolf is part of an organization that could potentially kill a lot of people if they launch a nuclear weapon.
What's this?
It's a handkerchief. I got it from Sniper Wolf.
Why?
I don't know why, but she's nice to me.
Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome to me.
I was taking care of the dogs here. After the terrorists took over, they were planning to shoot all the dogs. But Sniper Wolf stopped them. She even let me feed them when I asked. She likes dogs. She must be a good person. Please don't hurt her.
Wake up, you idiot. She's the one who shot Meryl.
Well, that's all I can do.
There was one moment where they tried to deepen his character by making him interact with Solid Snake after the Sniper Wolf fight.
Snake, you said that love could bloom on the battlefield. But I couldn't save her. What are you doing?
Returning it to its owner. I don't need a handkerchief.
Why?
I don't have any more tears to shed.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Snake! What was she fighting for? What am I fighting for? What are you fighting for?
If we make it through this, I'll tell you.
Okay. I'll be searching too.
I'm sorry, but this scene was something else. Unfortunately, Otacon's inclusion here doesn't feel authentic, and the dialogue feels very immature for a game that tries to explore mature themes. I wish this type of interaction happened at the end of the game, because it would have felt more appropriate, especially after all the revelations that has been discovered throughout the whole game. Solid Snake could have bonded with Otacon in a meaningful way by giving each other context on why they feel a certain way about their lives, and about other things, such as the Genome Soldiers and Fox Die. When I think of Meryl, I think of her as a wasted potential. I'm just kidding. She's just there to be the love interest of Solid Snake, and that's it. The thing is, even when they try to add more to her character by giving her quote-unquote motivations, it just falls flat because of the plot itself.
I always dreamed of becoming a soldier, but I was wrong. It wasn't really my dream. My father, he was killed in action when I was younger.
You wanted to follow in your father's footsteps?
Not really. I thought that if I became a soldier, I could understand him better.
So are you a soldier yet?
I thought I was until today, but now I understand. The truth is, I was just afraid of looking at myself, afraid of having to make my own decisions in life. but I'm not gonna lie to myself anymore. It's time I took a long, hard look at myself. I want to know who I am, what I'm capable of. I want to know why I've lived the way I've lived until now. I want to know.
Take a good look. You won't get another chance for a while. You should wash your face too while you're at it.
Yeah.
The entire point of this game is to stop a nuclear war that could lead to millions of people dying. And then there's Meryl, who wants to know if she has the determination to be a soldier, which causes her to be a liability and puts the whole mission at risk by swinging her hips. I mean, at one point she literally tries to bait Solid Snake into getting himself killed.
My gun! I can't reach it by myself.
Grey Fox, the coolest looking character in the game. Unfortunately, he gets killed too soon in my opinion. My issue with Grey Fox and a lot of the characters in MGS1 is that most of them have an interesting backstory, but Kojima decides to use a certain method of writing, which is tell, don't show. A lot of these characters' background are written through character exposition.
A dirty little orphan.
Rhodesia? What's now known as Zimbabwe?
Yes. Rhodesia was owned by England until 1965, and there were lots of Indian laborers around. That's probably where I got my skin color from, but I'm not even sure about that.
Naomi, you're too worried about the past. Isn't it enough to understand who you are now?
Understand who I am now? Why should I? No one else tries to understand me. I was alone for so long, until I met my big brother. And him.
Your big brother?
Yes. Frank Yeager.
I don't mind exposition in stories, but I just think over-reliance on exposition weakens the overall narrative and its characters. However, I would say the biggest strength of MGS1's story is its creativity in terms of the world that Kojima built and his characters. Anyways, back to Grey Fox. I wish we were able to experience his connections with Naomi and Solid Snake through flashbacks, or maybe through a prequel to MGS1, just to make his death and sacrifice more meaningful. In my opinion, Naomi is probably the worst character in the game, and I will explain why. Her motivations to kill Solid Snake is understandable, because at the end of the day, he killed Grey Fox and Big Boss, who were basically the only family to Naomi, even if they are not blood related. However, her motivation is not the problem, but it is the method she uses, aka Fox Die, to take revenge on Solid Snake that makes her character just stupid. Fox Die is one of the dumbest plot devices I've ever heard in fiction. Just to refresh your memory, Fox Die is an artificial virus which can target a specific DNA sequence and forces the heart to commit suicide. It was deployed by Naomi and the Pentagon during Solid Snake's preparation for the mission. This virus was made to specifically target the members of Foxhound and the president of Armtech. Unfortunately, Solid Snake is also at risk of dying from this virus because he shares a similar DNA sequence to Liquid Snake. Now, my problem with Fox Die is how convenient and inconsistent it was used in the game. I find it weird how Liquid Snake didn't suspect Ocelot of not dying from Fox Die, even though he knows that Ocelot had a close encounter with Solid Snake. I mean, Liquid Snake is portrayed as a very intelligent and calculative individual, especially after the big plot twist.
Thank you, Snake. Now the detonation code is completed. Nothing can stop Metal Gear now.
Master, what's going on?
You found the key, and even activated the warhead for us too. I really must express my gratitude. Sorry to have involved you in that silly shape memory alloy business.
What are you talking about?
We weren't able to learn the DARPA chief's code. Even with Mantis' psychic powers, he couldn't read his mind. Then Ocelot accidentally killed him during the interrogation. In other words, we weren't able to launch the nuclear device, and we were all getting a little worried. Without the threat of a nuclear strike, our demands would never be met.
What do you mean?
Without the detonation codes, we had to find some other way. That's when we decided you might prove useful, Snake.
What?
First, I thought we might get the information from you, Snake, so I had Decoy Octopus disguise himself as the DARPA chief. Unfortunately, Octopus didn't survive the encounter, thanks to Fox Die.
You mean you had this plan from the beginning, just to get me to input the detonation code?
Huh? You didn't think you made it this far by yourself, did you?
Who the hell are you?
In any case, the launch preparations are complete. Once the world glimpses the power of this weapon, the White House will have no choice but to surrender the Fox Die vaccine to me. Their ace in the hole is useless now.
Ace in the hole? What the?
The Pentagon's plan to use you was already successful in the torture room. Snake, you're the only one who doesn't know. Ah, poor fool.
Who are you anyway?
I'll tell you everything you want to know. If you come where I am, that is.
Where are you?
Very close by.
Another inconsistency is how long does it take for Fox Die to activate. We know that Sniper Wolf didn't die from Fox Die because she takes abnormal amount of tranquilizers, which slows down the heart rate, and Psycho Mantis had a mask to protect him from the virus. However, when it comes to Liquid Snake, it took him a very long time to die of Fox Die. Even though he's been in an intense hand-to-hand combat with Snake, which should have made his heart beat faster. But no, they just prolonged his death for plot reasons, I guess. Fortunately for Solid Snake, Fox Die doesn't work on him because Naomi provides a plot armor explanation on why he didn't die.
Naomi, Liquid died from Fox Die too. What about me? When am I gonna go?
That's up to you.
What do you mean?
Everybody dies when their time is up.
Yeah, so when's mine up?
It's up to you how you use the time left to you. Live, Snake. That's all I can say to you.
Yeah, this is stupid. She just throws philosophical poetry at him and tells him to YOLO. I guess Kojima wanted to have his cake and eat it by trying to force a happy ending while undermining the consequences of his plot device that he introduced to the game. I mean, are you telling me that Naomi, an intelligent scientist who specializes in DNA, cannot make a vaccine for Fox Die? And yes, I know that vaccines probably don't work like that in real life, but if that's the case, then what was the point of Liquid Snake demanding the government to send him the vaccine to begin with? This Fox Die subplot, or whatever you want to call it, could be expanded upon in the second and the third game, or they could just retcon a lot of stuff, but I don't know since I haven't played the second or the third game yet. I know I said that Naomi's motivations for revenge is understandable, but thinking about it more, I just came to the conclusion that it's not that deep, honestly. She must have known that Solid Snake received an order from a higher up and Snake was just doing his job. What did she expect him to do? Let Grey Fox and Big Boss kill him? Let's be realistic here. Solid Snake is just a pawn in a big game. Naomi should take revenge on people that gave out the orders. And if her excuse is she didn't know who gave the orders, then she is dumber than I thought. Also, it's weird how she flirts with Solid Snake even though she's hell-bent on taking revenge on him.
Well, if you make it back in one piece, maybe I'll let you do a strip search on me.
I'll hold you to that, Doctor.
It's not just Naomi. Most female characters in the game act like they've never been in a relationship with a man before. Because every time they get the opportunity to glaze Snake, they just be straight on their knees, giving the... I like Solid Snake as a character. He gives me the vibe of a real soldier. You could tell that he is a very selfless person who cares about humanity even when he finds out about Fox Die. He doesn't have a boring personality either. He's actually quite funny.
So there's something you like about me, huh?
Yeah, you've got a great butt.
The only problem I have with Solid Snake as a character is how disconnected he can be from the player. What I mean by that is Solid Snake is very important to a lot of characters in the game because of what he's done in the past. Unfortunately, we as the player don't get to see what made him into this legendary entity. Another thing is he does have a bit of plot armor, but that's to be expected in a lot of stories. I mean, no writer will kill the main character.
Joel, please get up!
Fuck. So after finishing the game, I conclude that MGS1 is a masterpiece. Now I might have been negative throughout the whole video while talking about the game, but to be honest with you, the game is not a masterpiece because it's flawless. It is a masterpiece because it was a blueprint for developers on how to make a good stealth game with a cinematic story. It was the first of its kind, and it inspired a lot of developers and made a lot of people fall in love with gaming. I might not love MGS1 like many other people do, but I do recognize that it's not a bad game. It has a lot of potential waiting for it to be fulfilled, and what I want out of the next 2 games is to improve on its dialogue and story. When it comes to the gameplay, I am confident that Kojima will evolve the formula that he created. Please put your agreement and disagreement in the comments section so we can have a healthy discourse about MGS1. Anyways, that was it for this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself.